In this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 audio unit plugins for iOS in 2019. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete and welcome to Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record and release your best music. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, consider subscribing. In this one, we're going to jump down into the iPad and take a look at these 5 free AUv3 or audio unit plugins that you can use on your iPhone or iPad. Let's get cracking. Here we are down in GarageBand on my iPad, and this will work with any DAW or digital audio workstation on your iPad or your iPhone that supports audio unit or AUv3 plugins. So here's the project that I have working on at the moment. It sounds like this. And what I thought I would do is I would show you these 5 plugins by using them on the tracks of this project. So let's dive in and get started with that right now. The first plugin we're going to take a look at is this one, the Rough Rider 2 Compressor plugin by Audio Damage. Now, all of the links to where you can download all of these plugins are down in the description, as well as links to videos where I've done a full review on each of these as well. So if this is too quick and you want more information, check out those links. Now, here we have it added to this drum track, and if we tap on the plugin here, here is our interface. So a very standard compressor interface. We've got the ratio, attack, release, our gain reduction, showing how much gain reduction is happening, sensitivity, makeup gain, and mix. Now what I'm going to do, I'll leave it on the default settings, but I'll put the mix all the way down to 0 and hit done there. Now if we turn off the plugin to start with, let's take a listen to these drums without any compression added by Rough Rider. Not a bad drum sound, sounding pretty good. Let's tap on the Rough Rider here, go in here and let's dial up this mix. I'll hit play and we'll dial up the mix knob and you'll hear the difference that this plugin makes. So you can hear it's really making those snare hits crack. It's really giving that kick drum a little bit more thump, and it's really impacting these drums. Now you can use this on not only drums, but guitars and vocals and a bunch of different instruments. It works really well. But let's bring this back into the mix now, and we'll turn off the plugin. Here's what it sounds like in the mix. And let's turn the plugin back on, and let's hear the difference. And I've probably dialed it up a little bit high there just to show you the impact that you can get with this, but you could drop the mix down there, you could drop the ratio down, you can play with the settings to get it exactly where you want it. And then you can get enough sort of punch through your mix, but you're only doing a little bit of gain reduction there. So a really good option. Now, why would you use this instead of the stock compressor in GarageBand? Well, it just, the answer's in the name, the Rough Rider. It adds a little bit of extra texture, a little bit of roughness to your mix, which can really work, especially on things like vocals, guitars, and drums. So there it is, the Rough Rider 2. The next plugin we're going to look at is a very simple plugin, and it does one thing and it does it really well, and that is the stereo lag plugin. So we've added it to this synth piano track here, and if we tap on the icon there, this is what it is. It is one dial here, and we can dial it down to the left by a certain number of samples or a certain number of milliseconds, or the same to the right. So what this does is it adds stereo width, and then it adds a small delay or a large delay if you choose between the left and right channels. So if we take a listen to this piano and we turn off the plugin, it sounds like this. So it's just sitting down the middle at the moment. It's not really doing anything. If we want to add some flavor, let's tap on the stereo lag. And if we put this over even just about 60 samples to the right, now if we take a listen, you can hear it's given it some width and it's just got more texture because it's got that slight delay between the channels. Let's go to the left, but this time let's go like 50 milliseconds to the left and take a listen. You can hear there the longer delay that we have between the two, and this can create some really cool textured sounds in our mix. So if we leave it, say, around 6 milliseconds, bring it back into our mix and take a listen. just sitting out on the sides there. And yeah, we may need some EQ and to balance those volumes a little bit more to make it sound really popping. But this can work really well with a lot of things. It can thicken up vocals. It works well on guitars. And again, it works well on drums if you want to add it to those, as well as synth instruments and others like this. So there you go, the Stereo Lag plugin, a simple but effective plugin for your projects. Next up, we have what is probably my favorite EQ plugin of all time, let alone my favorite free EQ plugin, and that is this one, the LRC5 by Neon Silicon. Here it is. It's a pretty sparse sort of basic layout, but the power is under the hood in this one. It's a 5-band parametric EQ with Q control. What does all of that mean? Well, let's add it to this track and show you how it works. So you can see in this project we have one of our hard rock guitars. Now the guitars here in GarageBand are not the best, so at the moment it sounds like this. So it's just playing some power chords there. Now if we wanted to tweak the EQ of these to make them sit better in the mix, we could use the visual EQ here, and there's nothing wrong with this. The standard visual EQ, we can play around with the bass, the mids, and the treble. But there's not a whole lot of options there. What I prefer to use is the LRC5. We'll turn that one off. We'll turn this one on. If we tap on LRC5, once again, we can control. We've got 5 bands here that we can control. So you can adjust the bass right down the bottom here. You can cut down on the bass there if you wanted to add, say, a bass cut or what's called a high-pass filter. You can do that. You can filter that out. The ones in the middle here are peak filters, so we can increase or decrease those to change at different frequencies. And in the bottom right there, you'll notice when I'm actually tapping and holding on them that it shows you the exact decibels that you're going up or down and at exactly what frequency, which is something that the regular EQ does, but not quite as well. And again, at the top here, we can add like a nice shelf to the high end if we wanted to. So in this case, I think this guitar's got a little bit too much top end. So what I'm actually going to do is shelve off the bottom there, and I might want to enhance some of the frequencies. Now, I'm not playing around with this the way that I would if I was actually EQing it, but let's just change this around. Say I wanted to go a low cut. We have to make sure you only have one selected at a time. And then I want to give it a bit of a boost through the middle there and then bring it off to the end. So you can do that. The other thing you can do is with one of these selected, you can actually tap with 2 fingers and you can change the Q setting. So you can make it really narrow or really wide. So let's just show you what we mean by that. If we adjust the Q to really narrow by spreading our fingers apart there, we can make these nice cuts and boosts at particular frequencies. So if there's a frequency that's standing out that you want to increase or decrease, you can do that. Now, I don't really know what we've done to this guitar, but let's just come out here and play this back with this new EQ curve. Yep. So with that EQ, let's just go back to the original version. So can you hear that it's got that harsh treble? So that really harsh treble sound, if we add our EQ back in where we've softened the top end, just sitting down nicely. So if we bring this back into the mix and take a listen in context. So it's not competing with that organ that we have above it and the other guitar sound that we have. So again, the LRC5, super useful, super powerful EQ. You can spend a lot of time tweaking your sound, getting it sounding exactly the way you want it. The next plugin we're going to take a look at is yet another one from Neon Silicon, and that is this one, the PhaseDelayArray. Now, unlike the simple plugins we've looked at so far, this one is far from simple. It does a bunch of stuff and it does it well. It's got a phaser, it's got a delay, it's got reverb modules, it's got a lot going on here. It's also got a lot of very cool presets, which is what I'll show you briefly in this one. But if you want a more detailed video, there is one up the top there and down in the description you can check out. So let's take a look at this one now. So I've got an organ track here. I've soloed it at the moment. It sounds like this. Funky little organ part that we're going to put in here, but let's add the phase delay array. Now let's go to our presets down in the bottom left. You can also use the interface up here, but this is a simple way to do it. We'll tap on that one and let's just find something that we might want to try. Why don't we try something interesting? What about the slow vibe rotor repeater? We tap on that one and what it's going to do is going to update all of the settings here. And then when we play this track back now, it's going to have added that effect. Let's take a listen. Now, there's a lot going on there, right? You can hear it continuing to go on. Let's turn it off. You can hear a lot going on there. So there's a lot of really intense settings in here, but when you start playing around with it, you'll notice that there's some other less intense ones as well. So let's just go down and add maybe the tremo verb, a bit of tremolo, a bit of reverb, and take a listen to this organ track again with this preset. So you've got the reverb there, and you've also got that tremolo, that volume coming in and out effect that you have on the organ. And again, when you bring it back into the track and you use an effect like that one, it sounds like this. So yeah, I may need to go in and actually play around with that if I did want to use it in this track. But you can hear there that very simply, you can use a free plugin that has a whole bunch of options there that you can dial in some pretty unique sounds. And again, you can use this on anything. I like it on synth sounds and organ sounds and others, but you can use it on your vocals, your guitars, your drums. Experimentation is key. There it is, the PhaseDelayArray plugin from Neon Silicon. Now for our fifth and final plugin, I'm going to cheat a little bit, but don't worry, it's a good cheat because instead of one free plugin, I'm going to show you 15. That's right, I'm going to show you that we also have the free Apple AUv3 plugins. There are 15 of them in total. I've reviewed a bunch of them, which will be linked down in the description below, but you can actually enable these for free on your iPhone or iPad with one little setting. And again, the video to show you that setting is down in the description. You can check that out after this one if you don't have these enabled. But you can see here that we have a bandpass filter, delay, distortion, dynamics processor, high pass filter, low shelf filter, iPod EQ, low pass filter, low shelf filter, a band EQ, a new pitch plugin, parametric EQ, peak limiter, reverb, and sample delay. So there's a whole bunch here to sink our teeth into. Now, just to give you a quick demo of one of these that I find useful, let's take a look at the low shelf filter to add some additional bass to our bass guitar. So we're going to tap on the low shelf filter. There it is on there. And again, we tap on the actual icon there. You can see it's a very simple arrangement here. All we need to do is tell it what frequency we want it to cut off at, and then how much gain we want to add. So let's just say we wanted to add some gain around 150 Hertz for this bass guitar that we have here. Let's hit play and we'll dial up the gain and you'll hear the bass kick in. There you go. A very simple way to get an additional 7 dBs of gain at that 150 Hertz level and shelving that off there so we get some additional bass for our bass guitar. Bring it back into our mix. Our bass really pushes through. So again, don't underestimate a plugin just because it's simple and just because it does one thing. You've got plenty of slots to add, plenty of different plugins here on all of your different instruments, especially things like drums and audio recorder tracks, maybe not so much with your amp sims, but it's a really effective way to add in. And because the price is right with these ones, yes, they are 100% free, and you can add in 15 of them and have them in your collection immediately. So again, check out the instructions down in the video down below. The free Apple AUv3 plugins. There you have it, 5 of the free AUv3 plugins I've been using in 2019. Now I want to hear from you. What are your favorite free plugins to use on the iPhone or the iPad? Let me know down in the comments. There's 2 more videos linked right down below. You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on the Studio Live Today icon, and I'll see you next time.